Yeah.
Yeah, so Wellness District is a coaching platform and an agency. And what we do is we help people who are looking to heal using alternative methods, right? So people come to us who have anxiety, depression, trauma, poor sleep, maybe insomnia, or they might have an autoimmune disease, and they have found zero answers in the Western medical system.
Did you bring him to consult me?
This is an intervention.
Apparently.
You say you need some help. And people want to get off their medication. They're like, I've been trying everything and I don't feel like myself on this medication. So what we do is we help find them the best alternative ways to heal, whether they be a life coach, a therapist, a nutritionist, a fitness coach. We help them get connected to things like brain mapping and neurofeedback therapy. And we add everything into their wellness journey, everything that they need, and remove anything that they don't. And that's really important because if you go to any healer, they might tell you, oh, you need to spend like 6 months with me working on this issue. But what we do is we take a look at the person holistically and say, actually, this other issue over here is probably a bigger deal than dealing with this. For an example, there was a client who was dealing with epileptic form activity in the brain. We didn't know that until we mapped his brain, but he had been going to therapy, doing this deep traumatic work with this therapist, and they never thought to like look at the brain. And so we found that he was having many seizures in his brain, and those many seizures were causing him to disassociate. And so that to me was just like, it's such a game changer, right? It's like some things you need to bring regulation to. We need to actually bring regulation back to the brain before we start trying to uncover and unpack some of the deep trauma things.
So with that, so with the clients that you get that come through your door, for someone that is probably potentially hearing about this for the first time, where would you say, because you're based out of LA, but someone here in Kansas City, if they think, hey, I don't feel right. Maybe they don't know if they should go to therapy first. Maybe they don't know if they should get to brain mapping first. How does someone like very new to the overall just wellness holistically, where does someone start? Like, where did someone even like begin to even have a good thought and like, where's go at? Where do I start in the game of like wellness on the journey? Like, where's the starting line?
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people, therapy, a lot of people say, oh man, I should really start therapy. And the first thing that comes to mind is talk therapy, which I think is beneficial too. And maybe you can speak more to that, but I'm really interested in the different types of therapies that you've mentioned that you can consult people. But yeah, that's a very good question of
where does even somebody begin?
Yeah.
Like, if they just
I would
don't
say the
feel
easiest
right.
entry point or place you would begin is something called integrative therapy. Because integrative therapy is going to look at some of the other systems in your body, whether it be your nervous system, whether it be your emotional system, or your, biological or chemical systems. They're going to look at some of these different systems in the body and find out what is the root cause of why you might be feeling anxiety. We now know that anxiety can be caused by different foods that you eat based on the gut-brain connection. Right. So a lot of the sugary foods or a lot of the things that aren't really nutritious in value that we feed the kids can also be causing them to have anxiety. And so we think like, oh, well, maybe they need some medication, or no, we actually might need to adjust your diet. And just even thinking in those terms will radically shift like, okay, how do I approach wholeness? How do I approach healing? And I need to be looking at different ways to combat this versus just the symptom. I would call the symptom versus the root. So I would say look up some integrative healers in your area. That's a great place to start. And then maybe think about doing some things like yoga, breath work, getting some blood work done from a functional medicine or functional nutritionist. They're going to interpret your blood work in labs very differently than a normal doctor who's just going to look at some of these biomarkers and say, oh, you're just low in vitamin D. Oh, you have high blood pressure. Oh, you have high cholesterol. They're looking for these main things, but integrative and functional medicine, they're going to be looking at multiple things, even down to your hormone levels.
Interesting. Sorry, that took me back to doctor visits. I'm like, yeah, that is what they've told me. And typically, the answer to that is to throw on not to just throw on medicine on people, but you typically, are given, hey, take this vitamin, or here's a medicine for to help your anxiety, your depression. And as someone who has experience, I experience anxiety and depression.
Sure.
And
We all do.
I've been on medication, and my goal is to eventually get off that. And so, thank you for bringing him.
Hey.
This is really cool. Like I said, this might be Levi's therapy session.
It can be. I don't. That's fine. So you said integrative therapies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's where someone could Google and just maybe find out where
You
can
will
go.
likely find some practitioners in your area.